our discussion about. Thank you very much for waiting for me this evening. I would like to continue my discussion with regard to the rampant Omicron variant. According to World Health Organization, this is highly transmissible Omicron variant of COVID-19 is driving an unprecedented surge of the infections globally. We've gathered the latest expert information about this variant and will continue to update you later on. But let us first go to the details. Some information from United Nation, UNICEF, United Nations International Children's Education Fund. Okay, let's go to the definition. According to WHO, based on the evidence, the Omicron variant of COVID-19 has been called a variant of concern. It has several mutations that have an impact on how it behaves. There is consistent evidence that Omicron is spreading significantly faster than the Delta variant in countries with documented community transmission with a doubling time of 2 to 3 days. The overall risk related to this is nearby remains very high. Later on this video, I would like to give some suggestions on how to make home remedies based from the remedies made by one of the medical specialists I listened to and I learned from my readings in medical sciences, magazines, etc. So let's continue. How did the Omicron variant develop? When a virus is circulated widely and causing numerous infections, the likelihood of the virus mutating increases. The more opportunities a virus has to spread, the more opportunities it has to undergo changes. New variants like Omicron are a reminder that the COVID-19 pandemic is a far from over. It is therefore essential that people get the vaccine when available to them and continue to follow existing advice on preventing the spread of the virus, including physical distancing, wearing K95 masks, not only a simple mask, but it is K95 mask, regular hand washing, and keeping indoor areas well ventilated. So it is not advisable to eat together in a closed area. You can eat together in 2 to 3 meters away from each other or in outdoor ventilation. In other words, this variant is very rampant or very significantly transmissible if you are very close from each other because this virus can jump 1 to 3 meters. So you must have at least 2 meters away from each other so that the virus can step down or flew away from your distance. It is also crucial that vaccine and other public health measures are accessible everywhere. Vaccine inequity leaves lower income countries, many of them in Africa, at the mercy of COVID-19, where supplied countries must urgently deliver the doses they promise. Omicron has now been detected in most countries after the variant was first detected in November 2021. Early findings suggest that there is a reduced risk of hospitalization for Omicron compared to the Delta variant. But WHO warns that it should not be dismissed as mild. Increased transmission is expected to learn more hospitalizations. That increase causes strain on fourth-line workers and healthcare systems, which in turn can result in more deaths. It is important to remember that variants of COVID-19 can cause severe disease or death, including Delta variant that is still dominant worldwide, which is why preventing the spread of the virus and reducing your risk of exposure to the virus is so important. How is the Omicron variant more contagious? The Omicron variant is more contagious than previous variants. However, being vaccinated and taking precautions such as avoiding crowded spaces, keeping your distance from others, and wearing a mask are critical in helping to prevent the spread of COVID 19. And we know these actions have been effective against other variants. There is no information to suggest that Omicron causes different COVID 19 symptoms from other COVID 19 variants. Researchers are looking into any potential impact the Omicron variant has on the effectiveness of COVID 19 vaccines. Information is still limited, but there may be a small reduction in the effectiveness of vaccines against severe illness and death, and a decline in preventing mild disease infection. However, WHO reports that so far it looks like the currently available vaccines offer significant protections against severe disease and death. It is also important to be vaccinated to protect against the other widely circulating variants such as Delta and Omicron itself. So it is important to receive the maximum protection just like the 3 doses of your vaccine. All right. Now, how can I protect myself if my family against the Omicron variant disease? Wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth. Make sure that hands are clean when you put on and remove your hand or your mask. Keep a physical distance at least 2 meters from each other. Avoid poorly ventilated or crowded spaces. Open windows to improve ventilations indoors. Wash your hands regularly. When it's your turn, get vaccinated. Now, what about the children? How do you manage your children in telling or giving information to your children? First, let me know. Invite your children to share what they have heard and listen to their responses. It is important to be fully engaged and take any fears they have serious. Be patient. The pandemic and misinformation cause a lot of worry and anxiety. Therefore, we should also listen to the suggestion given by our youngsters, brothers, relatives, and friends, so that we can also blend each other. Now, what we will do is the home remedy that I listened or heard from one of the medical specialists or medical expertise in the Philippines are the following. Number one, of course, isolation is very important if you have already symptoms. For example, simple colds, simple cough, simple fever, for example, is only just 37. Isolation. Now, in going to isolations, you have at least a separate room from your relatives, from the elders, and from your youngers or youngsters, for example, below 20 years old. Okay? If you are already suspected that you have a symptoms of COVID-19, whether Omicron or any variant, isolation is important. Number two, take immediately paracetamol with vitamin B complex. I experienced that last year. I felt very, very, very weak. I felt body pains, body aches, and I had fever for almost 3 days. What I did was I asked to buy paracetamol with B complex once a day. And then, number four tips, I use the natural, you know, mouthwash. I put hot water of course in a glass, and then pinch of salt with calamansi. Every time I felt sore throat or something that is, scratchy in your throat, you always gargle. You always wash your mouth. Brush 3 times. Next, sleep very well, at least 9 hours. Next, you have to eat your breakfast heavily. Heavily. All right? Next, sleep in the afternoon. Let's say at 1 o'clock or 2. Drink hot water or lukewarm water. Hot with, normal water or tap water. No. The mineral water. And then you're going to observe yourself in such a way that there is no more fever because you're taking paracetamol or B complex. And then you take vitamin C always. And then isolation is still there, right? Now, utensils, in terms of utensils, do not combine your utensils with other utensils in the family. You're supposed to separate also your utensils while you are already suspected with COVID-19. And then, and then you're going to eat your supper in a small amount. Do not eat too much. Then take your maintenance if you have maintenance. For example, Lasartan, for example, aminobutyrin. And then in the morning, you try to wash your mouth 3 times before you eat your breakfast and lunch, for example. Before you eat, I suppose you have your brush time with hot water or lukewarm. Always use hot water. Brush your tongue, okay? Brush everything. Brush your gums, and then you sneeze. Wash with water. Do not sneeze anywhere else. Or you can use your tissue paper, but I advise you to sneeze using tap water or wash it immediately. Wash. And then, after 3 days or 4 days or sometimes 5 days, take a bath with hot water. Okay? And then sometimes you feel, weak. You drink plenty of water, at least 8 to 12 glasses of water, so that your throat will become wet. If you have the cough, you take immediately Lagundi, okay, Lagundi capsule 3 times a day, for example. And then you buy citrus, for example. You ask your relatives to buy with you, or try to make arrangement with somebody to buy with you, or you ask for delivery, for example. And do not eat fried chicken, do not eat any kind of meat, do not eat adobo, do not eat red meat because it consists of protein. Protein of meat can mutates with COVID-19 protein. Again, the protein from the red meat can mutate with protein of COVID-19 because of the messenger RNA. What is the role of mRNA in the protein? To expand, right? To mutate. So there is an increase of size. And then you eat or you consume in your diet with the mRNA. So it is not advisable to eat red meat. What are the foods you want to include with your diet? Vegetables, fruits, vegetables, fruits, and water. No red meat, please. So that this COVID-19 protein will not be mutated inside your body. And then if you have vitamin D, it's good. If you have other kinds of vitamin C, B complex, D and E, okay. Then if you have also vitamin C with zinc, it's better. All right. So this is simple home remedy. As long as you have still energy, as long as you have, faith with God, pray, and God do the rest. Okay? Thank you very much for listening. Bye.